Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working again from Sam Jones's book, Whole Hog BBQ, but we are going to be making Eastern North Carolina style chicken and sauce. So the first thing we're going to do is make a brine. So we're going to eat this tomorrow because this has to brine for at least 8 hours or overnight. So we're going to go overnight. But we need to make the brine first because it has to, be cool when we put the chicken in it. Anyway, so I have some water coming up to a boil in it's supposed to be a 10-quart pot. Mine is 8. I do not have a 10-quart pot. I have the very large 21.5-quart canning pot, and I have my 8-quart pot. So hopefully that will work. We'll see. I might have to take some of the brine out once I put the chicken in. But anyway, I've measured out the kosher salt in this bowl because we're going to add that after it boils. And now I'm going to add quite a bit of sugar because a brine is usually sugar plus salt. So there we go. We've got all of the sugar and all of the salt in there. There's no other flavorings in this brine, just sugar and salt. So I'm going to put this away. So this water has come up to a boil, and I'm just going to add our sugar and our salt. And we're going to stir it until it is all dissolved, which shouldn't take long because the water was boiling, basically. There we go. Looks pretty dissolved to me. Now, what I need to do is add ice to chill this. So I'm going to add as much ice as it's he says an equal portion of ice to water, but ice, there's also air because, it's not packed in like water, but whatever, I'm going to add ice. Hopefully my freezer has enough. If it doesn't, I do have a bag, but.
You really can't measure.
There we go. So I've added all of the ice I need to here, and it is pretty lukewarm now. It's not super cold, but it's not at all hot, and that's what we want. So if you don't have a ton of ice and you want to do this without that, you make it with just double the amount of water and let it cool entirely before you put the chicken in. So we're going to set this aside and deal with our chicken. So this recipe makes 2 whole chickens, but relatively small whole chickens. So, and I'm going to do something that I've never done before, and that is not spatchcocking it, because I've done that before, and I'm sure I can link that above. He says that they split it open down the breastbone. I'm not entirely sure how to do that because that's a bone, and I don't know. He doesn't say you cut it out. You just split it open down the breastbone, and he doesn't give much of an instruction. So I'm going to wash my hands so I can get a knife without contaminating all of my knives. And then we're going to give it a shot. I have these scissors if I need it, but I think I'm going to need a knife. So my goal here, I believe, is to just cut through the breastbone this way. And as you can see, these are relatively small chickens. They're supposed to be 3.5 to about 3.5 pounds. So, which in my grocery store, they call those young hens or young something or another. So let me get the scissors through there. All right, so wasn't too bad. Probably because it is a relatively small bird. And now submerge it in the brine. Don't need this. And hopefully I will have enough room for both of these, but if I don't, I'll just take some of the brine out because I don't want it to overflow. Oh yeah, I'll have to take some of the brine out. I would rather take some of the brine out than make a smaller amount and worry about the ratios, because that kind of matters when you're talking about brine. There's salt and sugar to water. All right, well, I don't know if that's how he does it, because he doesn't explain it all that much, but that's how I did it. Now, I am going to scoop some of that out so that I can put this in there. Oopsie, that's crazy. So that bit, I think I had to take about a quart out, which makes sense. And now I have to find a place for this in my refrigerator for overnight. So we're gonna refrigerate it covered at least 8 hours overnight. We'll probably start cooking this in the afternoon tomorrow sometime. We usually do like a brunch, and then I try to do an earlier dinner. Doesn't always work out, but that's going to be the plan. So it is almost 7:30, so it's definitely going to be more than 8 hours. It's probably going to be 12, 16, at least 16, if not more. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow to finish these up. It is a little after 3 on the day we want to eat these. And so this has been in the refrigerator almost 24 hours, but not quite, 22-ish. And they're fully brined, I'm sure. All of this is salmonella waiting to happen, so I'm gonna be very careful with it, and we're gonna have to do a lot of washing up. But I have a baking sheet here just to put them on, and I'm going to try to transfer them without dripping too much over here, because we need to sort of pat them dry with paper towels. We have 2 chickens here, and I'm going to just pat them dry. I'm going to need some more paper towels. Thanks to my assistant. So I'm going to pat these as dry as I can and get the paper towels out from underneath them. This one we're going to leave as is. This is what he says. Like the main recipe is nothing else besides the brine. However, he also says in a note that if you would like to replicate the chicken at Sam Jones Barbecue, his restaurant, he's got a couple of them here in North Carolina, then you put some of his rub potion number swine on both sides of the chicken. So we're going to leave one like, normal, like the basic recipe. And the other one, we're going to add the rub to. We've made that. I'll link it up here on the channel. Very simple. It just makes a lot. So I'm just going to, I've already measured out the amount that he says, and I'm going to just put it all over and try not to get it on the other one that we don't want to be seasoned with this. I'm just interested in what the difference will be. This rub is sort of sweet and a little bit spicy. Okay, there we go. So now we have one mostly not rubbed and one rubbed, and we're ready to put these on the smoker. So he says to heat a pit or smoker to 250 degrees. So if you have just a grill, you can sort of do an offset heat. Try not to get it too hot, because these are going to cook for quite a while at a low heat. So that is the goal for this. So we will see you at our smoker in just a minute. All right. So we're at the smoker. It's set to 250, but it's at about 262. We are in direct sunlight right now, coming from that direction. So it's very warm and very sunny, but we're ready to put our chicken on. So he says we're going to start this bone side down. So hopefully I can get this on there without dropping anything. There we go. Bone side down. This is fun. There we go. Bone side down. Now he says to let this cook for 60 to 70 minutes before we flip it and cook it for probably about another 60 minutes until it is 165 degrees internally. So we're going to let this go for about an hour, and next time you see me, I'm probably going to be in my swimsuit because it is super hot, super sunny. It's a great day to go in the pool. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, my alarm just went off, so it's been at least 60 minutes. Excuse the splashing. Dog's behind the camera in the pool. So we're ready to just turn over our chicken. So it's looking a little done on this side, not super done. I'm going to try to flip it over this way so that the breasts are facing a different direction, just in case the heat is a little bit not uniform. So, you know, they all get the same sort. I'm going to, there we go. There we go. So that's looking good. They're definitely on the way to cooked. I'm not going to take their temperature right now. Oh, we are going to put we have a temperature spike thing, and I think I'm going to put that in there so we know where it's at, so we can take it off when it's not too done. So this connects to that phone, and we'll keep track of the temperature. So what I'm going to do is, I think this one was a little bit less, a little bit bigger. So I'm going to try to stick it in the, so it has to go up to here, I have been informed. So we're going to try to stick it into the middle of the breast. There we go. So we'll see how long it takes until that breast is at 165, and we'll let you know how long it takes. And we'll come back when it's all done and show you what it looks like. Our chicken, we just flipped, so it'll be done at some point relatively soon, within the next hour. We're gonna go ahead and make the sauce part of this Eastern North Carolina chicken and sauce. So we have a saucier here. I think this is about 6 quarts, 3 quarts, that's plenty. I think it says a 4 to 5 quart, but I think this will be fine. So this is kind of like a very vinegary barbecue sauce, but not quite Eastern North Carolina style, or Eastern North Carolina like barbecue sauce, which is very vinegary. Anyway, we've made that too. It'll be up there. So I've got ketchup. So I'm gonna start with the ketchup. And then sugar. This is just plain white sugar. And pineapple juice. This is actually from some canned pineapple that was canned in pineapple juice, so that's fine. So canned pineapple juice is what he says, which you can buy little cans of it as well. We've got mustard, plain yellow mustard. use this again for something. And we have chili powder, which I still have to measure. So some chili powder. Enough. And we're supposed to whisk this together before we add anything else. Looks good to me. And now we add all of the rest of the ingredients. So let me just verify. The rest of our ingredients, we have some apple cider vinegar. Now this is supposed to be Pepsi. We are, oh, it's a little, well, it was the right, before it all bubbled out, it was the right amount. It'll be fine. We're a Coke house. We had Coke. I was not going to buy Pepsi just for this. So it's Coke. It'll be fine in this recipe. I need to use this to measure quite a lot of Texas Pete. I did buy the Texas Pete. I did not buy a huge thing of it, but hopefully that was just taking too long. There we go. Yeah, it's plenty. That's great. I got Texas Pete all over everything. Since I dropped a little bit, I'm just gonna, there we go, that's plenty. And then, done that, we have some lime juice. Some lemon juice. Some soy sauce, which is, you know, an unusual ingredient, I think. But, you know, a little salt, a little umami. And some Worcestershire sauce, which also a little umami, a little salt. There we go. And I am not going to show you cooking this because literally all we have to do is bring this to a boil on high heat. So he said you can do all this on starting on medium heat, and then once you got everything in there, put it on high heat. It doesn't matter. We're bringing this to a boil and then letting it cool slightly before we put it on our chicken, but we don't cook the chicken with this. It's just gonna be like a serving sauce. So I'm gonna bring it to a boil and it'll be all done. So we'll show you what it looks like when we're all done with it, when our chicken's all done, and let you know what we think. So our tap spike, I took a picture of that as it was going, just so you can see what it looks like on the app. Says it's done. And I did take its temperature with another thermometer that we are sure works fine, and it was right on point. So here we are, going to just take it off. And that's what the rubbed one looks like. And that is the just smoked, not rubbed one. So there we go. We are supposed to quarter these and serve them with sauce. I'll probably serve us each a little bit of each, but we're gonna let it rest first because these are really hot. But we're gonna let them rest for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so before we eat. But that's it. We'll let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make Eastern North Carolina style chicken and sauce from Sam Jones's Whole Hog BBQ book. So I really love this chicken. I hated the reverse spatchcock. It wasn't that hard. It was probably slightly easier than a regular spatchcock, and you don't end up with a piece of chicken kind of left over, but I use those for stock later. because when you regularly spatchcock, you cut out the backbone. In this one, you just sort of cut through the breastbone and you're done. So that was, I mean, it was fine. It was good. With the size chickens that you use here, it was not that difficult. I bet it would get more difficult with larger birds, and especially like with a turkey, because regular spatchcock with a turkey is pretty difficult, requires a lot of strength to get through some of those bones. The cook time was almost entirely accurate for us. The chicken was fully done when we, you know, at the time that it was kind of supposed to be. I think it might have taken ours a little bit longer, but it was relatively correct. We did one with the rub, which, you know, we made originally for this. We've used it again since, which you'll see soon, like he does at Sam Jones Barbecue, which there's one in Raleigh and there's one in Winterville, I believe, North Carolina. If there's another one, I don't know. But we did use the sauce on both. He says at Sam Jones Barbecue, they don't use the sauce. I think the sauce was good because the rub was a little bit spicy, and so the sauce kind of cut that spiciness a little bit. And it is really the Eastern North Carolina chicken sauce that I have seen used and tasted many times. It was it was perfect for that, and I have a ton left over, and being that there's quite a bit of vinegar and sugar, it will last a while in the fridge. So we'll get that. We'll be able to make this or something like it all summer. The brine was great. However, it's just kind of a pain to deal with a liquid brine. Like, we generally now dry brine, so we'll salt something and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. But this had salt and sugar. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if I've ever tried it with sugar, but it was really juicy. And I would probably make half the recipe of the brine for my pot, because I think it would probably be absolutely fine. And all you really need to worry about is getting the ratio of sugar and salt to water correct for it to be, you know, a good level for your chicken. So I will definitely be making this or a very similar recipe, especially using the sauce. Again, with the sauce, there wasn't a huge difference with or without the rub. So I may or may not use it. We'll see. But yeah, I love this sort of smoked, low cooked chicken. And with the sauce is good because with a brine and with a low cook, like a cooking at 250 degrees, the skin doesn't get super crispy and delicious. Like I would prefer usually on a barbecue chicken, but the sauce, which would then sort of also soften up the skin, makes it better in my opinion. So it's not as off-putting to eat the skin like that. Anyway, we loved it. It fed us for several meals, honestly, and I would certainly make it again. And if you decide to make it, let me know in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed watching me make this. Share it with your friends. Give me a thumbs up and come back and watch me make something else next week.